Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? Welcome to part 2. If you didn't see part 1, my reaction to Stephen Fry on political correctness, well then you're probably at the wrong part. You know, I'm not counting down. I'm counting up. You should go to part 1. Or don't. I guess you could just start here. But let's just, I was going to wait till next week to watch the rest of this, but I don't really feel like waiting. I feel like while it's on top of my mind, I might as well finish this. Let's go. Stephen Fry has just laid out kind of his intro case in this debate against political correctness, mainly focusing on it being ineffective.
Really isn't. Right. You can answer me in a moment. The reason that Trump and Brexit in Britain and all kinds of nativists all over Europe are succeeding is not the triumph of the right, it's the catastrophic failure of the left. It's our fault.
Tough pill to swallow.
Absolutely. My point is not that I've turned to the right or anything like that, or that I'm nice and fluffy and want everybody to be decent. I'm saying, fuck political correctness.
Oh, dang.
Resist. Fight. If you have a point of view, fight it in the proper manner, using democracy as it should be, not channels of education, not language. You know, it's so silly. But there's a chess rule, you know?
He's getting passionate now.
In chess, the best move to play in chess is not the best chess move, it's the move your opponent least wants you to play. At the moment, you're being recruiting sergeants for the right.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's so much truth to that. A lot of right-wing media honestly just plays clips from, the most, well, I guess what people on the right would view as the most like ludicrous, and a lot of times any normal person would view it as just like ludicrous, silly things their opponents are saying. And that makes it pretty easy for them to just sit back and say, hey, look at what these people are saying.
By annoying and upsetting, and instead of either fighting or persuading. But political correctness is a middle course that simply doesn't work.
Well, first of all,
of course, I recognize the bestiality of Weinstein and the monstrosity of his behavior, and it was shocking to me. I actually worked for him. Script doctoring, as it's called. I never had the bathroom towel, but for pretty obvious reasons. But it's, grotesque, and I can't imagine how vile it must be for such a powerful man. And he was. I used to play a game at the Cannes Film Festival where...
Who is he talking about? He's talking about that... Pardon my ignorance here. Is he talking about Harvey Weinstein? That, like, sick film mogul. I guess, that's probably who he's talking about, because he certainly is in the industry. I don't know how we got on that topic, though.
These years of power, we're walking from one hotel at the end there, all the way up to the Palais de Festival. You would get 10 points every time you heard the word Harvey.
Okay, yes.
You'd usually, a 10-minute walk, you'd have 300 points. Because it was, Harvey's got the script, Harvey's got it. I've got a meeting with Harvey at the Majestic in the afternoon. He was immensely powerful. And I think that's obvious that someone in that position, abusing and threatening and hindering the livelihood of women is grotesque.
Maybe I missed a cut in there, but maybe this video is just a compilation of Stephen Fry, which is fine by me. I thought we were going to hear both sides, but it seems like she must have said something about and included Harvey Weinstein, and yeah.
In the extreme. But I have to tell you, there is genuine feeling amongst many people I know that we can't speak our minds. We can't actually speak to the true nuance, the true depth of sexual, romantic feeling between men and women. It's not a subject I'm absolutely expert on, but it counts between men and men as well, though I know when it's men and men, you might say, well, that's different because women have had a different experience in history, and I don't want to enter that particular field, but I would say that there is real fear in my business, which is where this all started, show business, acting, and so on, yeah, people are rather afraid to speak about a piece of, publicity that's come out or a statement that's been made.
And what a sick state of affairs that is, isn't it? When people are afraid to speak their own true, honest thoughts and minds. Because, and especially in this industry where everybody feels like their reputation is on the line of what this guy says because they're sponsoring this and they own the network for this, so he can't say that because what they say is on camera. So, or what they say in their free time, well, I don't know how that has anything to do with anything. But the film industry is definitely a little bit unique in that regard, although it definitely has also infiltrated other industries. And I've seen it kind of firsthand, like, where people are afraid to ask certain questions, say exactly how they really feel, or even just, a thought that might go in their brain. If it doesn't perfectly align with what you're supposed to say or what might offend somebody.
You just go, yep, absolutely, and wait for the people to leave the room before you can speak honestly with your friends. And I've never experienced that in my entire 60 years on this planet. This feeling that, and I'm not characterizing feminists as in East German, but it's like that, the Stasi are listening. You better be careful, they're listening. And that's a genuine feeling. I'm saying that with my hand on my heart. I'm not saying it to
Big Brother type stuff.
make a point other than the fact that it's true and it's worrying. But the sexual misadventures and horror experience is worrying too. So there are two worries. And I think people will look back on this debate and
Okay, so yes, it is it's a compilation of him. Okay.
wonder why political correctness wasn't discussed. It's, I said it was slippery. I mean,
it would suck to have to debate Stephen Fry. And then you've also got Jordan Peterson next to him, who, whether you disagree with him or not, he's a witty guy on his feet, and people, he's a persuasive guy. And Stephen Fry is a very likable, persuasive guy. It would suck to try to debate them, you know what I mean? No matter who you are, good luck.
It's interesting to hear talk about race.
You can just tell the crowd is immediately like on, just, And it also helps that what he says makes a lot of sense.
About gender and about equality, and it's something that I've thought about a lot and I can learn a great deal about, but that's not why I came to this debate. I was interested in what I've always been interested in, the suppression of language and thought, the closing down, the rationalist idea that seems beguiling, that if you limit people's language, it may somehow teach them a different way of thinking, something that would have delighted the inventors of George Orwell's Newspeak.
Can I just say this seems like an appropriate time to point out something I've thought for a long time, which is just fascinating to me, that growing up, it was people on the right here in America that were opposed, not necessarily opposed to free speech, but the left was the one defending free speech. And it was on the topic of music and, violence in video games and movies about gangsters and stuff. And it was trying to be censored. And it was the left protecting free speech. They would say, no, it's free speech. And now somehow it's flipped to where the right is the one protecting free speech. And it's just like, what happened here? What's going on? Why is it flip-flopped?
Thinking, something that would have delighted the inventors of George Orwell's Newspeak.
I mean, it really is, sadly, it really is just free speech for me and not for thee. You know what I mean? I'm all for free speech until you say something I don't like. Each party is hugely in favor of free speech, if it's something they like.
For example, and it seems to me it's just implausible. It doesn't work, and that's what I mean by empirical. It doesn't stand an empirical test. It isn't experientially validated. as we see from the political landscape now, and I worry that we may in the future. So I'm sort of disappointed that the subject has just revolved around academia, which was predictable, because that's the sort of crucible in which these elements are mixed. But even more disappointed that really I haven't heard from Michel or from...
There is a part of academia that feels like it is now like existing a little bit outside the realm of the real world, you know what I mean? Like not everybody goes to college. And these people conjure up ideas that like they expect the rest of the world to follow. It's a little weird.
From Professor Dyson as to what they think political correctness is, because what they've talked about is basically saying progress, in our view, is progress. Well, I agree. That's, you know, yeah. So it is too, and good on progress. But how is it that you're saying that what we call political correctness, you call progress? That's what you're supposed to be arguing. I want to know what you mean by
the internet.
names.
No, but I mean,
point. I'm scared.
But
if I listed,
but
that's
again,
the point.
You're scared.
It is a culture of
right.
fear.
I understand there's that element of fear. What I'm saying is that it's a feeling. It's a feeling that is this sort of intangible result of I think primarily.
We've all seen the sort of show trial thing where the person then apologizes. I have so much to learn about sexual politics. I am really sorry. Signed a lawyer, crossed out the name of the person. You think the real mistake of our left is that we underestimate the right. The right isn't as stupid as we'd like them to be. If only they were. If only they weren't so cunning, so sly, so smart, so aware of our shortcomings. And I just fear that political correctness is a weapon that they value.
I feel like that actually, that really rings true home to, what am I trying to say? I can't freaking articulate the sentence. It rings true here in America. Particularly with like Donald Trump, like the 2016 election. You know, everybody said he's got no chance. They didn't even really try. It seemed like they kind of phoned it in. They said, "All right, Hillary won, folks. Donald ain't winning." They could never pull that off. It's an underestimation.
The more we tell...
And then maybe the same with Brexit, too.
The world, how people should be treated, how language should be treated, what words are acceptable, what attitudes are acceptable, what HR meeting is going to tell you in a long bullet-pointed list about how you look at people. All of this is meat and drink to bad people, to malefactors, to bad actors. I'm not counting myself as one of those bad actors in that sense. I mean bad actors in the other sense.
Right,
Funny guy. He's a funny guy. That's part of why it would be so hard to debate him, especially in front of an audience. The audience just loves him.
So there are, like I said, there are a lot of ways in which I agree with you, although I would like to hear, I mean, to turn it back on you, I would like to hear you say, you know, what are the words that have fallen into disrepute that you think we should be resurrecting, right? I mean, to me, this is this area of like...
I'll tell you. Should I say, this is highly controversial here in America. Homeless. That has become an offensive word in parts of America. Meanwhile, you'll find actual homeless people saying, yeah, I'm homeless. I need help. I'm homeless. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I'm homeless. That's why I need help. That's the best word to describe it. It shows the severity of the situation I'm in. Don't say some other word that doesn't describe what I'm going through right now. I'm homeless.
Hotly contested social change right now, where a lot of people feel...
It's about words that have gone into disuse. It's very often phrases, jargonistic slogans heteronormative, cisgendered, those kind of things. They're just an insult. You know, imagine you're a young student arriving at university and someone's bombarding you with this preposterous hermeneutical nonsense from misread textbooks, misread Foucault, if I may say, and misread Derrida, and so on. Because I was at Cambridge, England, doing English literature. We had our French phase, and there's value in that. It's an interesting game, and it is. It's a place to. I think I'd just really say that the ghost hovering over for me is. It's a letter Oscar Wilde wrote, and he said to Bosie, his love, he said, the fact that you didn't get a degree is nothing, but you never acquired what is sometimes called the Oxford manner, and I'll say for that, the university manner. He said, Oscar said, I take that to mean the ability to play gracefully with ideas. I think that's disappearing from our culture, and I think it's a terrible thing.
Peterson liked that. To be honest, I didn't fully follow that. I'm going to listen to that last part again.
Play gracefully. Oscar said, I take that to mean the ability to play gracefully with ideas. I think that's disappearing from our culture. I think it's a terrible thing.
To play gracefully with ideas. Okay. Like, yeah, okay. I really like that sentiment. The more I think about it, it's an interesting articulation of it. The ability to play gracefully with ideas, to be able to discuss ideas and ping pong back and forth without resorting to petty disagreements and arguments and shouting and anger, I think is what, and yes, that definitely seems to be on the way out.
There we are. I'll hide behind the lectern in that case. Well, I've been fascinated by this conversation. There's been an enormous clash of cultures in the conversation. We've had, classic, if I can call it, huckstering snake oil pulpit talk, which is...
Damn.
It's a...
Oh, shit. You just say that, Stephen? After that whole debate, they thought we were friends.
It's a mode of discourse. It's a rhetorical style that I find endlessly refreshing and vivifying. But I'm not sure that we actually focused on the...
Did I speed it up? He seems like he's talking a little fast.
The point in question. And my objection has always been towards...
Okay, he's definitely going fast. What did I do? Hold on. I don't know what I did, but I refreshed.
And has always been towards orthodoxies. I'm a heterodox and a contrarian, and I can't help myself. And I think there's been an underestimation of the fact that language does affect people. It does make the young in particular, as they're starting out on their educational or their work careers, it makes them very anxious, it makes them very angry, very upset, very alienated, to feel that they don't know anymore how to operate in the world, how to engage in relationships, how to think honestly. So they accrete more and more to their own mini groups. And I think that's dangerous and unhappy for society. I think it's reflected in a paucity of cinema and literature and art and the culture generally, is that there's a fear that's pervading it. And while people can talk to academia and say, you should come and see our lessons, our lectures are open and free and ideas are exchanged. I'm sure that's true. I'm sure it's true, but I don't think we should underestimate how much this feeling is prevalent in the culture of this strange paradox that the liberals are illiberal in their demand for liberality. They are exclusive in their demand for inclusivity. They are homogeneous in their demand for heterogeneity.
Homogeneous in their demand for diversity.
They are somehow undiverse in their call for diversity. you can be diverse, but not diverse in your opinions and in your...
Right. It is a sad state of affair, isn't it? Diversity. Hey, we only care about, where your ancestors are from. That's the diversity. Okay, anything else? Cut it out. You're not allowed if it's not perfectly in line with what we think. No, no, no. We only care about your skin.
language and in your behavior. And that's a terrible pity. So I would say that I'm sorry that it got a bit heated in places, because I was hoping it wouldn't. I was hoping it would be a shining example.
Well, shit. Now I want to see more of this debate. You know what I mean? I want to see them reply to him. I might just have to react to the whole freaking thing.
Of how
Part 52, reacting to Stephen Fry debate.
people of all different kinds of political outlooks can speak with humor and wit and a lightness of touch, as G.K. Chesterton said. Angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. And I think it's very important for us, who are privileged, all four of us, privileged to be here, to be asked to be here, to take ourselves...
She is salty. And she should be after what he said. Snake oil? Look at her, though.
A little bit
She's not happy.
more lightly, not to be too earnest, too pompous, too serious, and not to be too certain. It's a time, I think, for really engaging,
Some humility.
emotionally fulfilling, passionate, and positive doubt. That's what I would urge. Thank you. I'm worried that I was being a little kind of scattergun, really, and that
Okay, we got a little post-game interview.
both scattergun and too specific, that I had just taken very literally the popular idea of political correctness as being a kind of control of language and a shutting down of certain phrases or an introduction of others, and the kind.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's essentially what it is, a soft form of censorship. You know what I mean? It's not illegal to say that, but you'll be shamed and fired from your job.
Of day-to-day, as I say, human resource departments of corporations and that sort of thing. So I was slightly disappointed that it just became a debate about race and about gender and so on. But that was, I guess, natural. And I still, the fact is I'm still a lefty, but a soft one. I just don't have...
You're not too soft.
Flabby, squashy in every sense. And I realize that that's not a political point of view, it is a personal one.
Right.
And the gap between the personal and the political, which is a space you obviously are very interested in as a psychologist, is one that is rarely explored. People are either so personal that it has no application in the outside world and the organization of human affairs, or they're so political and so much to do with structure and distinction between hierarchies and networks and so on, that they forget the individual. And that's the space in which the impassioned liberal lives, and it's not easy to do it, because you often do sound rather wet, and I'm aware that I did. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I really
thank you
enjoyed
for coming. Just finally, before I free you two both to a well-earned drink, anything left unsaid, Jordan? Any point that you wanted to make that you didn't feel you had the time or the
Well, I didn't hear any of your points, Jordan.
opportunity?
So let's hear it.
No, I
You
don't
said your
think
piece?
so. I said
Okay.
my piece.
Well, I didn't hear any of it.
Yeah.
Great. Same question to you, Stephen.
I know, I think I got across. I mean, there's so much you can talk about in that field, and I just wanted to leave with the point that I do want, like everybody, it's a no-brainer. We want the world to be fairer, juster, sweeter, kinder, but it's how you get there, and I felt that wasn't really addressed.
Okay. Well,
Well, that was great. And the only thing I wish is now to see the entire debate. So we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely going to react to more Stephen Fry. I'd love to see more of this debate. It's still highly relevant today. This might be 5 years old. It's highly relevant. And I'd like to know what they had to think. Oh, this was just before the new normal, huh? 2018. Whew, what a year. when we were all so innocent. The biggest problem in the world was political correctness. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.